Hello and welcome to N-Scale Trains with Chris. In this episode, I do a little side project that I had a lot of fun with. Let's see how I made out. So it's been about 3 weeks since I've posted my last video, and I'd like to say I've not been idle, but I've been idle. But anyway, I decided to do this little side project to keep my interest up. And it's a building that's going to be on my layout. It's a local high school that was in this community. And I'm not great at scratch building, but I can do photo editing. And I've got a good laser printer and some cardstock. So I thought, hey, why not try this and see what I come up with. I started off by going to the school, which still exists, and taking some photos of the front and the side. One side, I'm just going to use those two as all four sides. So this is an edited version of the front. I edited the front doors out, printed on this nice cardstock. In the past, I've had trouble with this cutting stuff. Turns out the trick is a good knife, and even better than an X-Acto are these utility cutters, because you can just snap the blade off and you get a nice sharp blade. Look at you, and you just draw it across, and look at that, comes right off. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. And oh, you can see I've got a little bit of white showing there, but I can touch that up. So now to do the other end. So there again, the trick is the knife, and you know good straight edge. And these straight edges like I've got here, they're like dollar store items. So anyway, hold the ruler down, and there again, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it. Just draw it across. You better not to press too hard actually, because that's when it slips and all that stuff, and it just comes right off. And you can see, like I say, there's a little bit of white here, so I'm going to try to trim that off. So very carefully lining it up so just the white bits showing. You can barely see it there because we're just trimming just a smidge off. So I just draw it across, and you can see it curling up there. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough. You know, the 5-foot rule. You can see there's printing on the other side because this wasn't my first attempt at printing. Now I'm going to score the ends so I can bend them easily. Now the first time I did this, I scored them from the back. And later I learned you should really score them from the front. But you just very lightly draw the knife across. You don't want to press it at all. You're just helping. It just gives a nice place to fold. And now to do the other side. So same thing. You just lightly draw the knife across, hardly putting any pressure on it at all. And then fold it up. And these will become the tabs that I glue onto the side. You can see I had to work it a little bit on my cutting mat there. This is on a craft cart that I built a couple of years ago. And there you have it. There's the back of the building ready to go. Now I just have to mate it with the side, as you can see there. And you just glue it on. That's why I kept that tab on there. And just to make sure the corners are nice and square, I'm going to be putting some square dowel in there. Michaels has an assorted pack that works well. So that's next. I've skipped ahead a bit here. I've got this glued in place, and I've got the corner with these square dowels, which I cut to a certain height because I wanted to leave room at the top for this other small dowel running the length here, because the roof is going to sit on top of that later on. And so I got it set in place by 3, 4, 5 blocks, and everything's nice and square, and it's setting up fine. You can see there's pictures on the inside. Those were bad versions I didn't like, so I just put a pencil stroke through them so I'd know which side was which. Why waste the paper, right? And there's the back, of course, that I showed you earlier, and with the tabs. So when this is dry, I'll do the other corners as well. So you can see the side here. And over here as well. It's actually the same side of the building. I just took one picture and edited so they look a little bit different. My picture actually didn't turn out very well. So then I looked on Google Street View, and theirs wasn't great either. But I actually found one on Apple Maps. They have something called Look Around, which is like Google Street View, and their picture was great. So I just used that. So the three sides have set up, and it's pretty good, and I'm happy with the way the dowel worked out. It gives it some good internal structure, and it's not too fragile. The only problem is I don't think it's to scale properly. So there's an N-scale truck, and it just looks too small next to this building. The building's too big. I sort of took a rough guess at the size. It's over 3 inches. And so I did a lot of Googling around and searching. I even used ChatGPT to tell me about building sizes, and I got a lot of different answers. But basically, I think I need to make this building smaller, like 2 3/4 inches. So that means I need to reprint everything on cardstock. And of course, I want to pry this apart and save the wood as well. So that's what I'm up to next. I'm using this paint scraper to pry off the wood from the cardstock and try to save the wood before I carry on. So I did manage to remove the wood. You can see the old cardstock is destroyed, which I knew was going to happen. And now I've got to, and there's glue and paper stuck to the sides of some of this stuff, but I could just use the clean sides. That's not a problem. I'm obviously going to have to cut the height of those down, but I'll have to cut the new cardstock and see how it looks. One of the benefits of making the building smaller is I was able to fit the front and the back and both sides on two single sheets of cardstock, which saved a little bit of paper, I guess, but I wasted a bunch of others, so it's kind of. So then there's the new front, edited and printed, partially cut out anyway. One of the things I did when I re-edited the front of the building is I added this little feature at the top, which I thought was kind of cool, but now I have to try to cut around it without destroying it. So let's see how I did with that. So there it is, all cut out. I did lose a little bit of some of the really fine detail, but not so you'd notice. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. Now to put it all together. There they are, all cut out. I scored the tabs on the front this time, which made them fold even easier. Now to do the sides. So it's the front and the sides are glued together, and you can see the paper stuck to the dowels there. And I had to cut down the height of those and the length of that one because everything is a bit smaller. But now it's being all held nicely together with my 3, 4, 5 blocks, and I'll set it up and then I'll recheck the scale to see how I did. So now I'm gluing the back on. You can see that there. And you can see the dowels in the front there that and then you can see the same in the back there. There's the dowel. Of course, and I'll need to do some on each side too to fully support the roof when it's all done. But yeah, I like the way it's coming together. Oh, and I did check the scale with my little truck, and now it looks much more to scale. So coming along very nicely. I'm pleased with it. So the glue is set. I have all 4 sides, and you can see the doweling I've put in. I did cut round dowels for the sides, and coming together very nicely. And you can see the front feature there sticking up. And now I have to put roofing on. And I've got this roofing that I bought online, N-scale roofing, but it doesn't quite fit. So I need to go and print some more off and cut a bigger piece. So I printed off the new tar paper and cut it to size. And if I've measured it right, it should fit well. So I hope I won't have to cut any more off of it. But there it is. I just have to fit it into place. And you see I've got glue on the dowel all the way around. So now I just have to work it into place very delicately. This being a cardstock structure, you can't really reef on it or push too hard. But let's see. I just got to work this a little bit with my fingers. And oh, is it going to pop into place? Is it going to pop into place? It is. Oh, yeah. I did measure right. Good for me. Yeah. And you can see there's a little bit of a thread there, but I can glue that down and deal with it. So now I just got to find a way to weight this down without caving it in. So there's the completed structure with some weights on it to hold it in place. And it looks good. And I laid out some streets at the same time that are going to be on the layout. The aerial photograph I have of this area from this area shows angle parking there. So I just tested that out with a scale vehicle, probably staff and whatnot parked there. And you can see there's the name, Merritton Secondary School. The school didn't have that name, but I put it on. And the school closed a number of years ago, but the building I took a picture of was a private school. Now it's not in use for any, I don't know what they're going to be doing with it. But anyway, I laid out some more streets. These 2 church kits that are going to be where they really are. And you can see I laid out the streets, and plus a side street there. And there's going to be a bridge that starts right around there that goes up and over the tracks. And at the same time, I laid out this street. This is going to be a long business street that's going to be on the layout just to give me an idea of where things are going to sit. And I bought this little built-up kit. It's a Woodland Scenics IGA, and the area I'm modeling did have an IGA on it. It didn't look exactly like that, but it's close enough. And it's a marvelous little kit. They're not cheap, these things, but it's just a nice little kit. I mean, look at that. It's got lighting already built into it. And then you look at the detail in this thing. It's got the little ride-on horse, that your mom put a quarter in, plus a little gumball machine, and it's got an interior with this week's specials on it. A really nicely done little kit. I love it. And then later on, I'll be putting my big paper mill over here where all that pile of track is. So this has been a fun and interesting project. See you next time.